Did you see the president's press conference yesterday? It was. Here he is talking about what a complex situation Russia is. Cut one, please.
Well, what was the second part?
Complicate the diplomacy of this moment.
No, I don't think it does. You know, the fact is that we're in a situation where what complicates the situation at the moment is the escalatory efforts of Putin to continue to engage in carnage, the kind of behavior that that makes the whole world say, "My God, what is this man doing?"
Yeah,
that's what complicates things a great deal. And but I don't think it complicates it at all.
Okay, all right. So it complicates it, but
it
doesn't really complicate it at all. Yeah, his actions don't complicate things at all. Not at all. I want people to stop saying that. Here he is, cut 3.
Are you worried that other leaders in the world are going to start to doubt that America is back if some of these big things that you say on the world stage keep getting walked back?
What's getting walked back?
It sounded like just in the last couple days, it sounded like you told U.S. troops they were going to Ukraine. It sounded like you said it was possible the U.S. would use a chemical weapon, and it sounded like you were calling for regime change in Russia, and we know
none of the three occurred.
So when you said you're going to see when you're there, you were not intending to
I was referring to meeting with and talking with the Ukrainian troops that were in Poland.
And when you said a chemical weapon use by Russia would trigger a response in kind.
It will trigger a significant response.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to tell you. Why would I tell you? You got to be silly.
In kind has a meaning.
The world wants to know.
The world wants to know a lot of things. I'm not telling them what the response would be. Then Russia knows the response.
You did tell them what the response would be. You said in kind. That's what it means. It's not just a collection of words. They mean things. That's what words do.
No. Words are violent.
And I want to know, where in Poland are we seeing women and children standing up to tanks? Where is that happening in Poland?
No, he said. He was referring to... Here, let me play. Please play cut 2, please.
I was talking to the troops. We were talking about helping train the troops that are the Ukrainian troops that are in Poland.
Okay, got it.
Right.
So stop. He was training the Ukrainian troops.
Was he talking to
that were in Poland?
Right.
Which is not something anyone knew until this press conference.
Another massive gaffe.
Well, they're walking it back. They're walking it back.
No, they're not walking it back.
They're not?
They walk it back. He says something.
Yeah.
The media spends multiple days going through a cycle with the press office where they tell the media, hey, we got to walk this back. Here's what we need to come out. They dutifully go along with it. And then when they ask the president about it, he says, I'm not walking anything back.
Right.
Whenever this stuff happened with Trump, they complained about it constantly and said it was the most unprofessional thing you could possibly imagine. And it happens every day with Biden, and no one cares.
And it's kind of big things. Here he is, cut 4.
Do you believe what you said, that Putin can't remain in power? Or do you now regret saying that because your government has been trying to walk that back? Did your words complicate matters?
Well, you asked 3 different questions. I'll answer them all. Number 1, I'm not walking anything back. The fact of the matter is I was expressing the moral outrage I felt toward the way Putin is dealing in the actions of this man. Just brutality of it. Half the children in Ukraine. I just come from being with those families. And so, but I want to make it clear, I wasn't then, nor am I now, articulating a policy change. I was expressing the moral outrage that I feel, and I make no apologies for it.
That's not okay as president.
Your personal feeling?
My personal feeling.
Oh, okay. So it's just his personal feeling.
Wait, when does that become an okay thing to do? When you're president of the United States, you don't just blurt out your personal feelings. Almost all of your job is to not say your personal feelings and instead articulate policy change.
Well, now, what do you mean almost all your job?
That is your responsibility. And when you're making a speech on foreign soil about a foreign conflict that you keep saying you're more involved in than our official policy.
Right.
And then you make statements about what could be, I mean, certainly everyone in the world remembers previous wars where we've had regime change as our goal. You come out here and you say
Libya.
they cannot stay in power.
Egypt.
Iraq.
Yeah.
There's a lot of examples.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Other than that. Other than that.
Like,
we have to go way back.
Like the job of the president would be a lot easier if you could just blurt out whatever you wanted, whenever you wanted, with no consequences.
Sure.
You know who does hear you when you say things like that? The guy that has 6,000 nuclear weapons hears you.
No. Listen, let's get some perspective from Don Lemon, who's strangely still on the air. Listen to this.
The president is saying exactly what most of the world feels about Vladimir Putin.
So what?
Now, he did not in that speech say that Vladimir Putin should be removed or we're going to take him out of power. He said this man should not remain in power. What person in their right mind thinks that someone who bombs innocent people, children, a country that is an unprovoked war, should remain in power?
Right.
This
now,
is not
if
how
he
the
had said
president
on the other side of that, so I think that we should do something to take him out of office. That would be a different thing. General Hertling on our air that evening said the same thing.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I think this is a media manufactured story.
See? Okay.
And the media,
so
it's
stop.
in the
This is the media just saying this is a big deal. That Russia isn't taking that in this way. They're just expressing their feelings. Let me give you this from the Kremlin. Retaliatory visa measures are being developed in Russia for citizens from unfriendly nations, according to Sergei Lavrov, who said on March 28th, as another top Kremlin official said, U.S. President Joe Biden's recent comments are cause for concern. During his public comments, Lavrov did not provide details about the countries that would be targeted, although he did single out the United States and its allies. Additionally, a draft presidential decree is currently being developed on retaliatory visa measures in connection with the unfriendly actions of a number of foreign states. This act will introduce a number of restrictions on entry to the territory of Russia. Some measures are being developed to respond to the unfriendly actions by the United States and its satellites. It comes as the Kremlin issued more statements following Biden's speech last week in Poland, where he said this man cannot stay in power. These statements are certainly causing us grave concern, said the Kremlin spokesperson. We continue to closely monitor the statements of the U.S. president. We carefully note them and will continue to do so. Now, I'm not sure if anybody at CNN or anyone in the White House know, but when you talk to your intelligence people, they will come in with a briefing, and you're going up against war or you're going into a meeting and you'll have all of the experts on, let's say, that president that you don't know for sure. They're experts because they've listened to every word. They have looked at every action and they say, this is what he's thinking. This is what he may mean. This is what you have to worry about. This is who the guy is. So when the president of the United States speaks here, there's a group of people all around the world that are not on our side that look and evaluate everything he's saying. So when, Putin goes, so is this like old lady actually threatening me? Mr. President, we don't know for sure, but he was talking about possibly the troops going into Ukraine. We're not sure what that meant. He's now talking about what could be perceived as regime change. He also admitted that they were training Ukrainian troops. Yeah, I would say that he's on a different wavelength. That's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, think of the things that Vladimir Putin has said that we keep quoting, like, the war will be with ones and zeros. Right? That's not an official statement of policy, but we take it damn seriously. And when he was to reconstitute the Soviet Union, it was the fall was the greatest tragedy of history in the past century. We take that seriously and look at that as his motivation. They're doing the same thing over there with every one of these gaffes. This guy is going to gaff us into World War III. He is literally in the middle of gaffing us into getting nuked.
I really don't think that these are gaffes. I really think, no, listen.
Yeah.
What he just said, no, that was my personal feeling. Okay, well, personal feelings become policies.
Yeah, when you are the commander-in-chief of the military, yes.
Right. So when he says things like, I mean, it's only reasonable. This may not be what he's doing, but it is only reasonable if you are assessing someone. You look at what they say, look at what they do. Look at the sanctions that we've just put on. They are unlike any other sanctions ever. Then he says, we're in a long war. People should brace for years of war. Okay, what does that mean? Then he says all of these things out loud. I was just thinking, no, you read it wrong. Well, there's going to be a lot of people that read it wrong, and they might have nuclear weapons.
Can you imagine if we had... look at this. Vladimir Putin comes out and says, hey, you know what? Look, this Joe Biden guy cannot stay in power. Can you imagine what a serious moment that would be? We found like 4 Facebook ads that say they wanted to screw with our elections, and it was an international incident that lasted multiple years and an impeachment.
Exactly right. And look at what Putin said in response to this speech. Putin came out yesterday and started talking about how the United States is trying to erase all history and culture, Russian culture, from the West. Okay, well, can you imagine, reverse this situation? Imagine if that was happening to us and our president said they're trying to erase us from history, all of our accomplishments, all of our cultural, we're getting rid of Gershwin. We're getting rid of, Uncle Tom's Cabin. We're getting rid of all of American culture. I don't know. I would think the people would rally around that president who said, we got to fight this because they're erasing us. Of course we would. That's what we just handed him. Oh, and by the way, they're also trying to take me out. There's a coup against me. I'm not worried about that. I'm just staying focused on what we have to do because I'm here for the America that has changed the world. You think the people are going to support which one? Which one? Tell me, which one? They're going to support the president against the enemy that is saying crap like we're saying. And I'm telling you, the president has feelings, and his feelings, he doesn't understand the difference between his inside voice and his outside voice. But your inside voice is really important if you're president. But if you express that on your outside voice, it's very logical to assume that your inside voice is what you're telling others inside of secret rooms with secret meetings.